I ran into a young woman I knew the other day. She looked like she was really struggling with life. Always inspirational, always a firecracker. So how you doing? She said, Adonis, I'm going through some things. My marriage fell apart. I lost my job. But I'm slowly rebuilding. I'm in a good place right now. Just trying to figure out where God's gonna bring me next. And as a person who always wants to inspire, I was like, all right, this is my moment. Because the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And I'm anointed to preach, girl. But you gotta know when to water and not wait. So I began to talk to her, and I was reminded about something I experienced in the 3rd grade. Right before spring break in the 3rd grade, my teacher took us outside, and right near the playground, we disturbed a piece of soil. And we asked her, we said, Miss Smith, what this is? She said, it's the final destination. She brought us back into the classroom and she said to us, she said, we're gonna have science projects when y'all leave for spring break. And she gave us all these little styrofoam cups. We all got a seed, a little bit of dirt, and we were excited. She said, now when you get home with these little cups, she said, it is your job to water it, give it sunlight, and watch it grow. Man, I was ready. I got home, I went inside. I said, Ma, I got my science project. She said, yeah. She said, you know, you have to do this and not me. As me and my mom were talking, I heard a knock at the door. It was some family in from out of town. And all my cousins come running in. Y'all know that was the day I forgot about that science project, right? Every day we outside, we jumping, double dutch, hopscotch, getting it in. Don't forget about your science project. I said, okay, Mom. The night before school, I go get that cup, I look in that cup, and it's dry. There's nothing I could do about it now. So we get up the next day, we get to class, and here come my friend Keisha. Girl, what happened to your cup? She said, oh, Miss Smith gonna get you. And I felt all my insecurities because I knew what to do. I had a plan, but I didn't follow through. And so all my fears, all my inadequacies, all of those things began to build up in me. And I heard my teacher call my name. She said, what's going on? I said, Miss Smith, I done messed up this time. I just didn't do anything I was supposed to do. But she refused to let me stay there. She said, all is not lost, and you are not a failure. She said, do you remember the plan? See, sometimes we forget the plan because we get distracted. She said, your process is still the same as the others, even though you may be just a little bit behind. But what you got to do in this moment is remember the process. You got to pick up where you left off and start the first work over. She said, water your seed. Because the seed got to go from the cup into the pot. And though all the other kids had sprouts, she said, eventually your sprout gonna come out of the pot and go into the final destination. And I told that young lady that day, I said, throughout my life, there were many times where God had to bring me back to the 3rd grade. There were times when I was failing in my marriage, and God had to remind me of the process. When I failed at motherhood, God had to remind me of the process. He had to say, pick up where you left off and start the first work over again. He said, because just like the seed, all of my children are seed too. He said, and there are times where you're going to be in a cup. There are times where you're going to need to be watered. There are times where you're going to need a little sunlight, and somebody going to have to watch you grow. There are times where you're going to be forgotten about, so you're going to dry out. He said, but the cup is not the final destination. The cup is only a place for you to produce a sprout, so your sprout could produce a sprout, and your sprout can go into a pot. And then you spend time in the pot. See, some of us, we get in the pot, we get used to the pot. Because we done grew a little bit in the pot. Come on, we done seed, done produce some seed, that done produce some more seed, but you ain't got no fruit yet. But you got to come out the pot. Because you got to go in the ground. Your roots got to be exposed. You got to shake off some stuff you know so God can do a new work in you. And put you in the ground. So you can get to the final destination. Many of us are seeds. Some of us are sprout. We are all destined for greatness. And you have to know that ultimately, God's plan for you is to leave a legacy and for you to produce trees.